Good morning. Hello. It is Maggie Rose here, Cunningham. Maggie Rose here, Cunningham. Maggie Rose Cunningham here. Whew, shake that out. Bringing you Middle Earth readings today. It's Tuesday today. I spent Samhain yesterday with my children. We did celebrations. We did an ancestral rite, and then we did trick-or-treating, sort of blending our heritages there. So I'm coming today for Tuesday the 1st of November, but we'll be covering the whole of the week. I only have one thing to say to you, and that is Hagalaz. We have a lot of storm energy, so I'm going to be talking about riding the storm and a bit about the ecstasy of the storm as well. We are opening our month of working with Odin and ecstatic wisdom in the half space. So I'm doing a live all about Odin and ecstatic wisdom tomorrow in the half space, and then we've got our inner circle classes as well, which are going to be exploring the theme through doing rune readings together. We've got a lovely sacred story coming, which is called The Wounded God. So our whole theme of all of 2022 has been the wounded gods. They have come forward and offered their wisdom through this year. And Odin was the one who was like, right, this is what we're going to do. So I've been waiting to hear this story since January 2022. So we're going to be doing that. And then we've got our meditation and embodiment session as normal, when we integrate all of those energies. So if you're feeling a little bit like, I can really feel that storm energy, rising, both, let's ride it rather than be swamped by it. Then that's really great for you. And then we have Hathuga as well. Now the dates are a little bit off this month because I am away twice doing trainings elsewhere through another organisation. So a little bit, just need to keep an eye on the diary there. All of your events are in the events section of the Hearth space. And for those of you who have received the newsletter, they were all sent out last month as well. So you've got all of those to come. So let's feel a little bit more into the ecstasy of the storm. Good morning to everybody who has already said hello. I can see lots of you here, and I know Suzanne has said that quite a few of you have left your rune of the week for me to feel into, share with you what's there. So share your rune of the week in the chat box, and we will get underway and looking at that. So what I wanted to say at this point is we had Frigg's chariot, so that's Venus, moved into Hagalaz last week. So she was the precursor, preparing us for the storm energy, and she was talking about love. She was talking about when we fear loss, we fear love. Excuse me. And then we had Suna's chariot moved yesterday. So it always moves into Hagalaz at Samhain. That's one of the things that we know. So Hagalaz comes at the festival of Samhain. The rune of the hail seed, the rune of the storm, the rune, I really can't speak today. The rune of change, of transformation, often considered to be a goddess rune, to have this sort of divine feminine energy, where nature, red of tooth and claw, nature comes and she says, no, that's not going the way that it should be, and she pushes, and the hail comes, and it's said that it removes that which is weak, that which is no longer necessary, and exposes the strength underneath. So it allows us to rebuild from that place, which is why it's considered to be a rune of evolution. So Frigga introduced that theme. Suna's chariot has come in yesterday to bring the energy of Hagalaz through more strongly. And then we only have one other planetary movement this week, which is Odin's chariot. And Odin's chariot is also moving into Hagalaz. So it's very Hagalaz at the moment. We are also in Odin's hall, Gladsheim, at the moment. It's the equivalent of Scorpio. And so that real energy of Odin is present. Great that we're doing his month this month. And there are two aspects to his energy, which I talked a little bit about last week, which are the energy of the All-Father, who is there, in judgment, looking out with that perspective, and the shaman, the wild, ecstatic, out there, leading the wild hunt, hanging upon the world tree, roaming the world, looking for knowledge and information. Now, what's important here is that Odin is an embodiment of the collation of ecstatic wisdom in its many, many forms. And even when he's on the throne looking out, he has this huge perspective. He's looking out over everything. And when we look at what the meaning of the word ecstasy means, although we can often think about it as being always a bit party energy, actually what it means is to be outside of oneself. And that could be in many different ways. So that can be that sense of I suddenly open up to a whole new perspective. That sudden transformation when you see things and you go, oh. It can also be that moment when the boundaries between you and everything else dissolve, which again is part of that perspective. But it's also it's a beautiful experience of suddenly not feeling separate and alone and feeling oneness instead. Sort of unity and oneness comes into this as well. And so Odin, he hangs upon the world tree to discover the runes. That's a form of ecstatic journeying. He travels on Sleipnir, his 8-legged horse, another form of ecstatic journeying. He also, when he's on the throne and he's looking out over the worlds, and Hugin and Munin bring all of this information to him and he's synthesizing it, all of it together. He is looking to bring in the not known, to bring that in and to unify with it and to synthesize with it. Now, the way that I think about this is with the storm, it's about this energy of the storm comes. And I remember I was talking to the members of the inner circle who came to the Hearth Space, the hookah session last week. So apologies those of you who were there, because you would have heard the story already. I was thinking about the storm energy. I was reminded when I was 19. Was I 19? I might have been 18. I was on my gap year before I went to university, and I was working in London. And I was born on Harrow on the Hill, which is quite a steep hill. It's been there for a long time. It's got a big, very ancient burial site at the top. And when it rains really, really hard, my house, from the age of about 5, was at the bottom of the hill. I started off higher up, and then we moved further down the hill. And the rain would come flooding down the hill, and with this big road, and it would become like a river. And I was walking home from the train station one day, in my work outfit, my suit, and all of those things, and the rain was coming down so hard, and it was just this storm energy of ridiculousness. It was really, really mad. And I was just like, oh, when you're sort of in like this, and you're going, oh. And Hagalaz can feel like that. It can feel like, why is all of this happening? Oh. And it can just feel really difficult, like I just can't go on in this. And I was feeling like that. I was just like that I can't stop because I'm getting soaked. I have to continue, but I just can't. I'm like a drowned rat here. There was these big fields that I was walking along at the bottom of, and I was trudging along, and suddenly I looked ahead of me, and I realised that in the torrents of water that were ahead of me, and I was sort of wading through them, I could see my shoes floating off ahead of me, and I was no longer wearing them. They had actually just come off my feet in the water, and I just started laughing. And I think I might have even like sung at one point. And it's just at that point where you just go on then, just do it. What's this going to feel? And you surrender to the moment, and you go, there's no point in fighting it and going, I don't like it. What's going to happen? Just, my shoes have gone. They've just gone. I'm just going to keep going in the rain and enjoy it at this point. And that was a really important life lesson for me that carried me through many times when I'm like significant pain or significant loss in my life. And that moment when you move through from, let's call it like being the victim of the storm, to saying, I'm going to ride this storm, is what's being offered here. Now, Odin might think of this as being as well. Another way that you might look at this is, we've talked, for some of you, you'll know, we've talked about Innengard and Utengard. If you haven't before, don't worry, you don't need to know the concepts in depth. So Innengard is the inner realm, the realm that we know. So Innengard for the gods is Asgard, and Utengard is the giant realms of the giants. So we have, in the human realm, we have Innengard is the place that we know where the boundaries are, and then Utengard is the place where all the criminals and the strange people live that we're frightened of. But for our ancestors, Utengard was both a place that was unknown, and therefore would have this storm energy, this unknown, what's going on here, full of people who had been sent out of Inengard for breaking the rules, for example. Unborn children were said to be in Utengard and then to come into Inengard, or they were accepted through ceremony into Inengard. And so, Inengard was safe, but it was also known that initiation practice, coming of age, any form of shamanic work where you were going out required a journey into Utengard. So Utengard was full of power and wildness. So it's going into the wild places as well. So we're thinking about the storm, Hagalaz, and we're thinking about ecstasy and ecstatic wisdom as well. And so my question to you would be, what do you need to bring the storm's perspective to? Where are there places where this is so hard? And I'm not saying that the experience gets easier when you move into this I am the storm, I'm at one with the storm. I'm not saying, suddenly everything gets better and it all changes and it transforms. But it is an empowering experience rather than a disempowering experience. It's my own experience. My shoes were still not on my feet. I was still soaking wet, but I was laughing in the soaking wet rather than going, I just can't. So this is what the storm is offering us. So whereabouts in your life might a little bit of the perspective of the storm, that perspective of the bigger picture of surrendering to the moment, even if we don't really like it, where would that take you? So let's have a look at your runes for the day. So we've got Meggie, hello, lovely to see you. So you have got Ansu, so that's really, we've got some Odinic energy here. He's coming through really strongly for you. So Ansu's is one of his more traditional runes associated with him. It goes back to here's the Ansu's rune, goes back to words meaning a god, mouth, estuary. So you can think about it as being the opening of the mouth of an estuary. And I'm seeing here, Maggie, this moment where for our ancestors would gather around, that's where you would find the most lucrative, prosperous, fertile land would be around estuaries where you've got the fresh water and you've got the seawater and ships can come up and down. It's very fertile in that place. And it's that sense almost of, if you were going to choose to be anywhere, that's where you choose to be. And so I'm thinking about it like when the storm is raging outside and yet you do have shelter, you have that benevolence of nature around you at the same time, and it's those two things coming together. So you've got the Hagalaz energy, you think about it as like Hela sort of just raising her head a little bit here and saying, Utengard in this sense becomes the realm of the dead, with Samhain energy coming through. And then you've got the Ansu's energy of this place of relative safety where you can prosper, where as long as you've tended to your home, the water's not coming through the ceiling, so you can look out and hear the storm, but you are safe inside. And it's that place of meeting is what's coming through for me here, Maggie, of recognizing both Hagalaz and Ansu's have order and chaos within them. So the Hagalaz rune brings the storm and it leaves behind it the crystalline order of nature, the sort of template that we're working towards. And Ansu's is the rune of like chaos and ecstasy and the voice, but it's also the rune of order, with Odin creating order from the throne and making decisions. And it's almost inviting you into that space of recognizing that it is the partnership between the two in your life, that ability to sometimes be out in nature and to be wild and free, and sometimes to be in that more like ordered, safe space that allows us to enjoy both. When we are too much in our sort of entrenched, must do this, follow this rule, stay inside, be safe, then life becomes boring and monotonous and it loses the juice. But if we're out in the wilds for too long, we lose ourselves, and we're no longer in the place of human world, the human world and the human choice and sovereignty of being able to decide for ourselves. We have to have that balance of both. So I'm just going to offer that to you, Maggie, and see what comes up for you there around looking at that balance between the ordered and the chaos in your life, and how could you bring those in more in balance. Erica, you have Ewaz, your soul rune for the week. Yeah, you love Ewaz, don't you? I love Ewaz too. We both have a double Ewaz, Erica and I. Erica, by the way, is doing our Conversations with Weird interview this week. So if you want to know more about Erica's amazing wisdom and the 2 books that she's written and the work that you do around destiny weaving, and obviously we work together on the birth runes as well, then please do pop that in your calendar. It's on the 22nd of November. So Ewaz, Erica, the rune of partnership, the rune of the steed. I actually almost hearing the sound of a horse as I picked this rune up. I've got my little horse down here. He wants to say hello. Hello. There he is. He's been with me for many years now. And it's really talking about companionship, and that sense again of the companionship through the storm, and who's been there to support you throughout, who are your partners, and recognizing the strength that you bring in that as well with the partnership. It's the way in which when we walk through the storm, like with a friend, with a dear friend, that sense of ecstasy can be even stronger. That sense of doing something together and of never being alone, which is contradictory in some ways to what I was saying around that sense of when we are in ecstasy, we feel oneness. And so everything is available to us. But this Ewaz is talking about the intimacy of partnership with a person, perhaps with a deity as well, and what that brings to you in the context of weathering the storm. And it's that I'm literally seeing this as being either a rider on their horse, like galloping through the storm, and the horse is speeding them along on their journey, or 2 people holding hands as well. I think there's almost what Ewaz is saying is doing that work of honouring the role of partnership in the past opens you up to even deeper and more profound partnership in the future. So I think that that's what it's offering to, and it is looking at intimate partnerships, really close people, people who you are able to sort of unburden your soul to, people who rely on you in the same way. Yeah, is what we're looking for, and some giving some thanks there, and then opening up to opportunity potentially coming forward through the coming year. And then Chen, you have Inguz with the seed. So Inguz is the rune of gestation. It's often considered to be a masculine rune. Think about it as being the rune of the green man, the corn god who sacrifices and dies and is reborn within the womb belly of the great mother. So that's why we get the seed here. It's that divine spark within humanity as well. Whereas Manaz is the sovereign self, the divinity within the individual. Inguz is in many ways that divine spark that is collective, that sort of archetypal divine spark that we each hold within us. Here we go, here's the Inguz rune. So often it's as a little diamond, sometimes it has a hat above and a hat below. And I think for Chen, as I'm feeling into it again, I'm getting some really, really strong natural images. Again, the storm is coming really heavily. I saw it with Erica, I've seen it with Maggie as well, and now I'm seeing it with you too. What I'm seeing is the fields, when the fields have been ploughed and the seeds have been sown, and there's that sense of almost that it could be helplessness, like the storm is coming and all of the plans that I had and things that I wanted to do are being laid to waste now. Will the seed be okay in the earth? And the seed is coming and saying yes, because it's protected by the earth as the storm rages above. So it's saying don't be afraid of that sense of taking shelter and of trusting that the things that you are trying to bring forward at the moment, although it might feel as if, oh no, I was thwarted in this, or I wanted to do this and this didn't work. That's because the Hagalaz seed, the hail seed, is still at play above, but your most precious future wishes, hopes, desires are safe under the earth. And it's sort of saying, leave them there. Leave them there for a little while. Don't worry that you're not manifesting really quickly, and that you're not going, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, because there's a reason for that. Because if those seeds came out right now, they could be destroyed by the Hagalaz energy. So allowing them to gestate within the earth and to take their time is important. I'm not getting a sense that it feels as if these are things that are external to you. It doesn't feel like this is your own energy. It feels like it's things that you have either put in motion or you've been wanting to do, and there might be that sense of, oh, you know, I should be doing more to bring them through. And actually it's saying you've already done this, the planting. Trust the earth to hold the seed within it, and wait for the Hagalaz time to complete. When we move into Northes in a couple of weeks' time, and a couple of weeks' time, then that kindling energy, that energy of the flame, will be more available to you to bring a bit more nourishment to those seeds. Sally Ann says, exciting. I think you might be talking about the inner circle work there, Sally Ann. Cheryl says, good morning. Samhain sounds lovely. It was really lovely. I really enjoyed it. Suelo on its side for you this week. So Suelo is the rune of the sun, the rune of the sun wheel, the rune of the internal navigator that sort of tells us this way, this is the way. It's a great rune for healing as well. Really nice energy, a little bit similar to Reiki energy for those of you who know Reiki. It's wonderful to trace in the air and then channel the energy of the sun through it into the body. And it can create, when we do that for periods of time, it can create a gentle shield around your energetic body. And that's what I'm feeling for this, with this rune share, is you could actually do this energetically. If you've been to any of my workshops and things, you'll know about when we've used the Suelo rune before. Imagining the Suelo rune, and it's coming down and it comes into the body, and you just feel that sunlight coming over you, and keep drawing that in, and then allow it to start to fill your energy body, your aura, your hide, as it's called within the northern tradition, or hammer sometimes called. And what this is going to do is, I'm seeing here, when you imagine that you're walking through the storm, and what Suelo does is it provides, first of all, that humour. It's a very humorous one. It says, I'm going this way. I'm going home even if my shoes have floated off down the stream. I'm just still going. And it offers a certain level of insulation from what can feel like a very challenging journey with the Hagalaz rune. It's almost like I'm seeing the forks of lightning coming down from the sky, and then they're being dissipated by your Suelo, the light of your Suelo rune, which is emanating from inside you and which is protecting the energy body. So what I would tend to do, again, this is I'm fairly certain that you are already doing energy healing work, so you'll know about this, is to scan your energy field. Some people refer to this as a personal space, by the way. I often think about it as just being personal space. People talk about auras and things, and you know when someone's in your personal space or not. So it's scanning the boundaries of your personal space and saying, oh, is there any that feel weak? Give them a little bit of Suelo energy. And then it means that you'll be able to work with the Hagalaz rune and bring some of that humour and bring some of that, okay, there is stuff happening around me, and I'm going to allow that to be transformational, but I'm going to partner it with the Suelo rune, which is the rune of my direction. So yes, Mama Nature, she's doing her thing. She's calling me to evolution and doing all of that sort of stuff. But the Suelo rune is drawing you on. Now, I think that the reason for the on the sideness here is that I'm almost seeing it as like the lightning coming down, and then it's bouncing and it's sort of crunching everywhere, rather than you actually being able to draw it in and use it. So this is why doing the Suelo work, and it won't take much to turn it onto the right way around, will be helpful, so that you're not doing that thing that I was talking about, but you're actually able to keep going with the direction. So work with your Suelo rune energetically, and imagine it shielding, protecting, but also absorbing what it needs from the energy of Hagalaz around you, so that it can then channel that out and help you travel in the right direction for you. Diane, you have Athala reversed. So Athala is the rune of estate. It's the rune of ancestry. It's the rune of legacy. I'm actually feeling here, we were talking about Innengard and Utengard. So Athala would represent, first of all, it would represent Inengard, the place built by the ancestors, which we have inherited. We have inherited the rules, the conventions, the buildings, the ways of working, all of these things we have inherited, and we have become the stewards of place, the stewards of heritage, the stewards of culture and legacy. Here we are with the Athala rune. It also holds within it the wisdom that we need to know that sometimes we need to go into Utengard and back again, and how to do that, and how to do that safely. So it's right at the end of the rune row. It's just before Hagalaz. It's rune number 23. So it synthesizes a lot of wisdom within it. But what I'm getting from you with your reversed Athala rune is a sense in which sometimes convention and the norms and the rules don't need to apply. So it's a little bit like a king or a queen visiting another kingdom, and there are some rules in the host kingdom that you follow because of etiquette dictates, and there's this and there's this, but you don't lose your sovereignty just because you're in somebody else's realm. You are not like their subject. You might respect their rules, but you're not entirely bound by them. And I get this sense almost of you traveling through a kingdom that isn't yours, and that feeling again, it might, that if we felt as if we were constrained by that, it might feel a bit like Hagalaz energy. It might feel like this is very constricting, this is difficult, I don't feel that sense of freedom that I want to feel. And it's remembering that actually you still, I was talking about the energy field with Cher there, and the Swallow rune. Often the people who have come here often will know that the readings often link together in the order that you put them in. Is this sense in which you are still travelling in your own sovereign bubble. And so some of the things that you're being told, well, this is the way that this needs to be, and this is the way that that needs to be. You might say, well, I'm in this kingdom and I will respect those conventions and those rules because I am travelling through and I'm being hosted, and that's fine. But it doesn't make them true for me. And there is an important distinction there, and that's to do with continuing to stand in your own power and your own sovereignty, and being able to draw on the land, on your land and your rules, what you know to be true and what your beliefs is. You stay connected to your own kingdom, and that's important even when you're travelling through somebody else's. I hope that makes sense to you, Diane. Diane says, Odin, yes, Odin, hail Odin. Lisa says Gibo, just after I said hail Odin. So again, a lot of the runes are associated with Odin because he's Odin. So he's like, yes, you'll find me in Hagalaz, you can find me in Athala, and it is true. We can find him in all of those. And after all, he discovered the runes, so it would be a bit rude of us not to look for his messages through them. But Gibo, like Anses, we have Anses, Rado, Kinaz, and then Gibo and Munyo are also very, very strongly associated with Odin. So we've got Munyo here at the end of the first 8, and then we've got Gibo, which looks like a kiss at the end of a birthday card. It's an X really, but its sound is G or Y, and it means gift or oath or promise. And it's there we go. It's hiding from me. Here we are. So this one, in contrast with Diane's, has got a lot of balance within it. I can feel a real strength and a power as I'm tapping into this, Lisa. It's almost like the sovereignty, your sovereignty, is the ability to say no, or yes, or yes, there's a storm going outside, but it's not. But don't bring your muddy boots into my house. It's that type of thing. It's almost a recognition that going right back to when I was talking about Ansus with Maggie at the very beginning, and we were talking about this place of safety, this Inengard space that connects with Utengard, and it's recognizing that it is the sovereign voice of the spiritual elder, spiritual matriarch, spiritual patriarch, whoever you want to call it, You know, the people who I serve, and you know, most of you I would put within this category, who sense what's needed in the moment, and you say, right, you know, we are the builders of the future, of sort of spiritual legacy of the future, and of what's needed. And that moment when you say, no, don't bring your muddy boots into the house, is so much more than, you know, don't bring your muddy boots into the house. It's also like, don't bring your muddy boots into the house, because if you do, I might shout at you. Or if you do, I'm going to have to clear up mud, and that's going to be really bad. Or if you do it now, you're going to do it every day for the rest of your life. Whereas if you just learn to do it now, that is, we are creating a comfortable environment where we all understand the rules, and we agree on those rules. That's when we have Innengard. Innengard is a space where rules are agreed, and someone has to speak those rules, and there is a gift as well as a commitment within that. And I really feel as if what Odin is doing for you, Lisa, is saying, recognize your role in creating that space of Innengard for your people and your tribe. So although it's not Ansus, although there's not speaking, it is that communication. It is that communication of saying, in this space, this is how we operate. In this space, this is what you can expect from me. In this space, we are safe, loving, kind, whatever it is that you want to put in that. And it's recognizing the energy of Gibo within that. And that each time we do these things, we're building that legacy that moves us into Athala as well. And you'll notice that with the Gibo rune, if you just put a hat on top of it, it would become Athala. Who is next? Suzanne. Oh, Suzanne, I know that you've got a big... Suzanne is travelling along the road in the storm, carrying all of these runes for everybody else as well. Hail, Suzanne. Literally hail with the Hagalaz rune. And I know that you love the Hagalaz rune as well. So I'm sure that you're going to be enjoying the next couple of weeks. So let's make a beginning. We have got Urus for you, Suzanne. There's just strength within that, and it's almost, I've talked a little bit about absorbing energy, and I know we talked a bit more about this because I did a reading for you. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, and we were looking at the Isa rune and how energy was coming through, but it wasn't yours. So it was all about cleansing. Now this is different. This is saying that actually the Hagalaz energy that's around you, natural energy from like big energy, not buzzing energy of other people, but big energy, is yours. And the way that you draw that in is by harnessing the power of the Uruz rune. And almost sort of saying, yeah, bring it on, Storm. I'm going to bring that in, and seeing yourself as like a matrix that contains that energy within it so that it's ready for you later, working with the Uruz rune to do that. So I'm actually just going to leave that with you to play with, because that feels like something that's an exploration for you there, but it's different. Although the Isa rune and the Uruz rune do have some similarities. There's that form. Both of them are runes of form. But the way that they are going to receive this energy, because you know the Uruz is with the Hagalaz energy, it will be different. And Uruz is saying, yeah, bring it on. You might want to experiment with drawing the energy of Hagalaz, that storm energy, down through, and then sending it down into the roots beneath, but almost seeing it as like a coil of energy underneath you that is like a battery. That's what it's offering to you. So there you go. Charge yourself up, baby, is what it's saying. So we shall see how that goes. I'm excited to hear how that goes for you. Ren has Iwaz. Again, a rune of strength and stability. See how the runes tend to come in these little groups, which is really interesting how people's runes cluster together. And I know that when Suzanne puts them in that order, it always seems to work with the group that you carry with you. So this is for Ren with the Iwaz rune, the rune of defense, the rune of the staff, the rune of Yggdrasil itself, the world tree. So this becomes like a conductor, like a lightning conductor. Interestingly, given what I was just saying to Suzanne, because Suzanne was almost, her Uruz rune was almost saying, oh no, I'm not a conductor. I can't find my Iwaz rune. I'm a battery, and you can use that Hagalaz energy. Iwaz is conducting the energy of the storm, and it's being a partner to you. There's a little bit of similarity with Erica's reading earlier when we were talking about Elwaz, but this is with Iwaz, we're looking at, if you actually have a staff, it would be really good to work with the staff at the moment. Have I got a staff in this room here? I don't have my big staff. My big staff is guarding another place. No, I don't. My little staff is down. She cannot be disturbed at this point. So you can use a staff for seed rites, really good for seed rites, so, or for any form of trance work. You know, we're talking about ecstasy at the moment. So you can hold the staff, and if you're seated, which is actually, I'm going to try and get out my little one. Bear with me, see if she will come. Apologies for the noise. Okay, so this is my seed staff, and she's quite short, you see there, and she's a bit bent at the top, and I sit with her when I'm working on her. I plant her in the ground, and then I can sway as I'm doing my trance work, and she provides the stability for that work. And your staff will do the same, so you can do that standing as well. So I've got a larger one that's standing, but I'm seeing this as a sitting here. And it is that sense in which we build tools and spaces to support us, to become partners for us. So it's not people energy, it's place and space energy that you're looking for. And it's really connecting with that and saying, okay, when I need to be supported so that I can do my best work, how is my environment supporting me in doing that, so that I can find that freedom to move how I need to move, to feel free. It can also be the structure of your day. It's any form of structure that supports you in being able to almost move into that ecstatic state. You know, that ecstatic state where you think, actually, this is my anchor. That will be firm for me. So this is why I've talked about time, because it can be about what are the routines that channel my energy through them, or how does the room that I'm in support me in my focus on the work that I'm doing right now, or on my ability to relax. How does the room that I sleep in support me in my sleep? So it's working with your environment as a partner is what I'm picking up there with the Iwaz rune. Then Shanita, we've got Bacano. Apologies if I am pronouncing your rune wrong, Shanita. I'm sure that's... Do let me know one day if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly for you. There was the Iwaz rune. It was hiding behind the Bacano rune, which is the next rune that we've got here. It's Bacano. So Bacano is a very youthful, new energy. It's also a rune of the goddess. But unlike Hagalaz, which is the hail seed destroying, Bacano is the plentiful earth bringing forth life. And it's also got a childlike energy. It's very protective, different type of protection to Iwaz. So Iwaz has got that structure to it. Bacano is shielding. I was talking with, we were doing share, wasn't it, that we were doing the Suelo rune with the energy body. Now, when I work with the energy body and protecting, Bacano is a really good rune to work with the energy body on, particularly if we want to be a little bit safe and a little bit secure. So what I would suggest for you is, in order to preserve your energy, using the Bacano rune, and there's two things that you can do, and this will be before bed. So the first thing that you can do when you're lying down is to create the shape of the Bacano rune with your body, which you do when you lie down. Oh, that's the wrong way up. You don't want to do it that way. Lie down and bring your knees up, and then you bring your arms like this, like that, to create the Bacano rune shape, and just call on the Bacano rune there. You could imagine the earth, the green, fertile earth coming, and perhaps just like some green moss that you're lying on, and this gentle leaves around you, just creating a healing space for you. And then once you've finished your starred cauldron, you can do that for a couple of minutes. It doesn't need to be for very long, or you can do it for longer if you're somebody who's already does a lot of healing work. You can feel into the Bacano rune. You could chant its name if you wanted to while you were doing that. You're creating a safe space. And then once you've done that, bring your body back down and release that visualization and let Mother Earth take all of that away. And then imagine the Bacano rune just offering this shield of gentle green golden light all around you while you sleep to regenerate and restore. Really important for, I think, this storm energy that's coming. So for some people, you know, we've talked to Suzanne, we've talked a bit about how you can channel that energy through the body. We did a little bit of work with Cher and the Sewello rune. So some of the runes offer themselves energetically to us to work with. And I should say, for anybody, if I sort of say, oh, you know, quickly, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and you're thinking, actually, I'm not there, I'm not quite ready to do that, get in touch and we can book a session, and we can do this in more depth. And let me see. So yes, that's your Bacano rune there. And the fact that it was on its side, I'm hoping that it was like this, because that's even more helpful. Sorry, I didn't notice it was on its side there, but yes, actually adopting this position is really helpful. Diane, we've done Athala reverse, that's fine. Troy has Athala also reverse. So let's just have a feel, Troy, into whether there's anything more for you. It was quite detailed what I gave to Diane. So I'm thinking that it is about feeling into that. There is something about claiming personal sovereignty and recognizing that when we travel in somebody else's realm, we may choose to respect those rules, but we also have the own rules that we hold within our own sovereign space. And, you know, ideally, particularly in our home environments and our work environments, we would be in a place where those rules, those values, feel the same and aligned. Where we don't, where we feel like actually my sovereign energy and this space's sovereign energy, or a person, if it's like a boss or a manager, or, you know, a host, that they're not in alignment, that can be difficult. We can get that tension, and you just have to manage that then and sort of say, okay, this is my sovereign space. I am still, and it's quite mindful, a mindful respecting of their sovereignty without compromising your own. And it's that interface between the two that has to be watched quite carefully, to bring some real intention and consciousness to doing that, so that you are not disrespecting them in their sovereign environment, but you're also not losing your own sovereignty in that moment. But what we look for is environments where there's a synergy, where there is alignment. And obviously in the world, we need to be able to do both. We need to have that in and guard experience of my sovereign realm, and the values that I share are also at one with your sovereign your sovereign realm and the values that you share. But the world needs us to be able to travel through unknown places out into Utengard as well, for the world to continue to evolve and change. So it's just about just really working with that sense of thinking about that and going, okay, well, as I move through, I'm bringing my own sovereign space with me, and other people might pick up on that, and that's fine. How do I manage that? How do I manage that energetically? Carol has Feyu. Lovely flowing energy of Feyu. I'm just doing a bit of shifting energy there. Athala and Feyu are both runes of wealth, but whereas Athala is a rune of estate, and you might say it as like fixed wealth. You know how people can say, well, I have fixed assets that I can't really access, they don't give me immediate cash flow, but I still feel rich, you know, that I have this a legacy or an inheritance that's mine. And then Feyu is the flow of energy, and what we really want, obviously, is like a partnership between the land and that estate, and the energy of Feyu that flows through it. I'm just feeling into yours there, Carol, because it's not on its side, but there felt like a little bit of a warning to me there with the Feyu energy, which was, I'm just picking up on, Feyu to me often speaks about dragon energy. It's very much this, yeah, it feels to me as if what we can do in our society is we can get very fixated on either Feyu energy or Athala energy. So people who are, you know, like mega rich, let's say, a lot of Athala energy. They gather wealth in, they invest it, they create this little mini ecosystem of like investment where the money is spinning around and it's coming back into their little Athala pot there. And it keeps on growing and growing, and it's held within this almost like a vortex of Athala energy that draws the Feyu rune energy into itself. Now, that can be good for people in the short term to do that, but if we don't have a continuing flow of Feyue energy, that it will corrupt eventually. Doing that will corrupt if we're not saying, okay, and how am I sending that Feyue energy back out into the world? That's what we really want, is a flow in and a flow out that is sustainable. And I'm not saying that all wealthy people do that. I'm saying that's a model of wealth in our society. You know, a person who draws energy towards them and they hoard it, and that becomes the dragon that goes around. Ah! And then we have the Feyue energy that is moving through so quickly and not going into places that are nurturing. So I'm trying to say this without a lot sounding really, really judgmental. I suppose let's think about it as like a consumer society where we buy something, we chuck it, we buy something, we chuck it, we buy something, we chuck it. And that doesn't respect the Athala energy of our shared and collective estate. Now, I think that what these two runes are offering for you, Carol, is almost they want you to explore them, is the sense I'm getting, and to say, how are they in partnership within the world? There might be a little bit of how are they in partnership within your life. So that sense of Athala operating as a vessel through which Feyue energy flows. And what we eventually have is we have lots of Athala runes all woven together, lots of little kingdoms, little sovereign spaces, all working together, meshed together, and the Feyue energy is flowing through them, and the land is fertile and prosperous, and all is well in the world, and we don't have lots of waste, and we don't have lots of hoarding, and wouldn't that be wonderful? Where is that happening is the question that it's asking. Maybe it's asking to bring a mindfulness about wealth into your life at this point, and perhaps to have a little look at that for yourself too. And there was a suggestion right at the beginning when I picked this rune for you that maybe there's some Feyue energy that wants to come your way, but it's being hoarded elsewhere. And the way to attract Feyue energy to us isn't to try and hoard it and say, oh, but that should be mine over there. No. But it's actually to get into flow with the Feyue energy, which doesn't mean spending lots of money, by the way. It could be making some lovely cakes and giving them to another person, or doing a donation of some sort, to show that you are a worthy steward for the Feyue energy and the Athala energy. That was quite a long one there, Carol, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope that you did too. But yeah, Feyue wants to play with you, and it wants you to think about that management of its energy, of life force, and how it travels through society. Michelle, you have Hagalaz, so you're already picking up on the Hagalaz energy there. Become the storm, Michelle. Everything that I said right at the beginning around ecstasy, and that moment where we choose whether we feel like we are a victim of the storm or whether we are at one with the storm, is relevant here. Now, as I'm speaking, there is I'm feeling this sort of like little slightly tightening of my jaw over here, and I'm wondering whether it might actually be attached to a person or people or a situation where you are feeling a sense that, that I'm not in control of this. And that can be really, really hard for us. But it's saying, okay, so you're not in control of the other person, you're not in control of what they do, but how can we step back into that? I've been talking about the sovereign space, I've been talking about Suelo a lot as well, that sort of golden Suelo energy coming through. How can you embody that more? And almost imagining, so the Hagalaz rune, one of the ways that it can also be seen is like a little star shape. It's one of its alternatives. And it can become almost like an energy inside us, this crystalline energy inside us saying, okay, the storm is raging around me, but inside me I have that crystalline truth, and it can't be taken away. Doesn't matter what anybody else does or says, but that's my truth. I'm going to connect with that in order to weather this storm. And it's always, when we think about weather as well, I find that quite helpful sometimes with certain people in my life who I'm just like, you know what? It's just weather. It's just their weather. It doesn't mean anything about me. When the storm comes, it's not deliberately targeting me, even if it sometimes feels like it when it steals my shoes. when the sun shines down on me, it's not deliberately targeting just me, it's targeting everybody. You know, it's available and it's there. When the fog comes and I can't see where I'm going, and it's quite fun but also a bit weird. No, that's not targeted at me, it's just weather. And so, yes, where are those places in your life where saying, actually, you know what? It's just weather. It's not about me. Releasing that's their storm over there, might be a useful way for you to start to think about the Hagalaz energy as it's coming up through the next couple of weeks. Sometimes it can feel really testing. Candice, you have got Tewaz upside down. So interestingly, again, there's a sense of like loss of sovereignty or momentum coming through that we want to ward against with the Tewaz rune there. So the Tewaz rune looks like an arrow. It's capital. It's like a capital T, but with its hat has been squashed. Is the way that you might think about it. Although I'm sure that Tyr, who's the patron of the Tewaz rune, would not like that description, as he is a great warrior, a priest, and a king, and wouldn't go around wearing a squashed hat. Here we are with the Tewaz rune. So it's upside down. It's almost, I'm really sort of feeling this sense of like a spear or a sword that's been thrust into the ground, and it's almost like doing that vibrating thing where it goes, it's a bit cartoony in a way. That's there, and it's almost like, so I'm getting this sense of like, sometimes you just want to chuck in the towel, you just want to say, no, I just don't want to. No, that's almost the sense that I'm getting there with this. It's just like sometimes you just want to put it down and say no. Just put it down, and I don't care if the sword gets a little bit bent, or the spear, I just want to leave it over there. And when we have those moments, what it tends to mean is actually that action isn't the best course at that particular time. That it normally means that our energy reserves are very low. So there are a few things that you can do around that. Replenishment. I don't mean necessarily rest, I mean replenishment. So rest is going and sleeping, or sitting down, having some quiet time, or letting your system relax. Replenishment is when you go somewhere and then when you come back you feel like, oh, that was amazing, I feel so energized right now. So for me, I have a gardens that I like to go to, and I always feel really energized afterwards. So it actually fills your energy up, and leaves you feeling more excited, more on that sort of ecstatic path than the rest path, is what I would say. So you can look at that, you can say, okay, how can I go and get myself some replenishment? Dance is great as well. So it could also be that you've got some of the, whatever the battle has been, you've got that energy stuck in your system, so you want to release it. Sometimes I really like one of my coaches who used to go and like bash things with a foam mallet when she was really annoyed, and I thought it was an excellent way of doing things. So it's removing the energy out of your system, replacing it with something else, and trying whatever the task is, or whatever the thing is that you're struggling with, saying, okay, I don't need to deal with it now, giving yourself permission to not deal with it, going and doing the replenishment, going and doing the release work that you might need to do. And then when you come back to it, you're going to want to come back to it with a different mindset, a different perspective. So this is where, if this is resonating with you, this isn't just for Candice, if this is resonating with you, where you're just like, yeah, I'm just bashing my head against a brick wall here, and I'm just really, we need to find that state change, we need to find that replenishment, and we need to find that new direction. And that's where a reading or a coaching session can come and really help, can be really helpful, because it's more than can be done in a session like this. So yes, 2 steps that you can take, and a third one that's available as an option there if you're feeling like, yeah, I'm still a bit stuck there, Candice. Esther, you have got Rado, the rune of rhythm and ritual. It's reminding me of that walk, but I was saying with the walk where I was in the rain, but I'm actually seeing Cinderella's carriage. When she turns, the pumpkin gets turned into the carriage and takes her to the ball. I do not know why I'm seeing that. Let's see if we can find the Rado rune while I dig into, why does Esther have Cinderella's carriage? Not that I begrudge you the carriage. I think you're very deserving of the carriage. But you're like, well, why does one have the carriage? Yeah, so this is about support, knowing the way forward, allowing advice and guidance to come in. I'm reminded of like the fairy godmother coming in who starts off the journey, and Cinderella doesn't know where she's going. She wants to go to the ball, doesn't she? I want to go to the ball, and I'm going to get to go to the ball. And then the fairy godmother comes and she creates the carriage, and Cinderella goes off and she follows the rules to a certain extent. You know, she just about manages to leave in time. And I think that is probably the piece here for me, would be around that the storm can be really disruptive, and it can lead us to feel like, oh, should I do anything this week? Should I reorganize everything? Should I, you know, often it invites us into renewal and a big shift. But what the radar rune says is, no, you need to keep following some of those rules. So if Cinderella had left the ball earlier, she would have been able to get back in her carriage, and it would have taken her all the way home, and it wouldn't have turned back into a pumpkin, and she wouldn't have been carrying this pumpkin and with the rats and the mice. And I'm thinking of the Disney version now, obviously, and walking back to the place, and you know, and that wouldn't have happened. No, she would have just got in her carriage and gone home. You know, that would have been the end of it. Something else coming through there. So it's the balance is what I'm feeling here, between saying, okay, what's coming up at me is unexpected, is challenging. Do I need to shift my course a little bit? And the answer is yes and no. I'm trying to get a little bit more clarity here for you, Esther, because they're being, you know, giving me the lovely story of Cinderella. I would actually feel into, if you know a particular version of Cinderella yourself, I would actually feel into that a little bit and say, okay, what does this tale have to teach me for this week? Because the reason that I'm feeling into it and saying, okay, it's not like just follow all of the rules totally and utterly. There is a follow your heart as well. Cinderella was really enjoying herself. So she just about managed to get into the carriage and get away in time. But because she was running away, she left the slipper. So I wonder whether it's saying, follow the course as much as you can, but recognize that when things don't go the way they are, the way you have planned, there are opportunities there within that. And that's the gift of the storm. You know, it's like Hagalaz comes and we just feel like it's a disruption, just a total disruption of everything that we have planned. But actually, it's offering that next step, that transformation, that evolution. So for you, I think that it is a partnership between following the road that you've already mapped out, but recognizing that when that doesn't work, what's the gift here? What is the gift? And just looking, having a little peek at what the gift might be there, because sometimes you might not spot it straight away. The gift in the storm is what I offer you there, Esther, and I apologise that took a little bit of time. Elaine, you have also got Bacana. So we've done Bacana already. We did 2 energetic practices with Bacana. So I'm going to offer that to you. The only other thing that I would say is it might be that you have new projects, new things coming through, new stuff on your mind, new opportunities coming through, and it's like, oh, this is really exciting. And you might be feeling a little bit of hesitancy about, oh, do I do them now or do I not do them now? So Bacana is saying yes, if you can defer. So just wait until the Hagalaz energy is over like a week or 2. So anything that you can defer, do so, but don't let it slip, because the Bacana energy is there, that energy of new life. It's like the birch tree, the pioneer rune, and the spring energy in there is available. And if you can't defer, you just need to put in place things that you think, like, what do I need to do to protect this? Because the storm energy will be there, and it might bash some of the young shoots of the Bacano rune. So the Bacano rune is coming and saying, yes, you know, don't just say no, oh no, it's not the right time, it's really bad, I'm not going to do this right now. But first of all, feel into, can I delay this for a little bit of time? And secondly, if you can't delay, what do you want to do to put in place to protect the intentions that you've set up, the energies that you have that you're putting into whatever it is that you are doing? And it's just little things like if you go on a car trip and you're thinking, oh, might not have that much petrol, fill up, you know. It's those types of things where there might be small things that could go wrong because the Hagalaz energy is there. But if you just do that little bit of work, it's a bit like sort of stepping into mother energy a little bit and say, oh, you know, well, don't go without your clean hanky. It's that sort of energy. Just allowing yourself to feel into, yeah, before I go out today, if I'm in full like mother mode, do I need my raincoat? No, it's those sorts of things that will protect that Bacano energy. So a little bit of deferral, a little bit of protection will allow that energy of Bacano to come through even at this time through the storm. And then Karen, you have Ingus, which you have had Ingus once already. So again, I'm just going to feel into, is there anything more with that? We had that, I think it was with Chen. We had the seeds under the earth, feeling themselves there. I think that maybe for you, Karen, there is a sense in which the seed energy may be yours. So with Chen, they were external. They were things that were external to her. But I think that with you, we're talking about a part of you that is gestating, that is waiting to be reborn. A part of you may be something that you've given up in the past, or a part of you that hasn't had an opportunity to be expressed at this point. And it's waiting there. And there is a certain amount of patience required here. It's saying, yeah, you know, maybe there is this thing that I haven't done yet. Sorry, I'm wriggling because I'm trying to feel into what's coming. It sort of feels a little bit like something that is coming towards Yule time, the winter solstice time, that maybe you haven't done for a long time, or you want to change things, you want to try something different, and there is an opportunity there. It's almost like a rebirthing opportunity with the Ingus seed, and it might be that you're feeling that now, that slight desire to shift, move, change the energy, but the results of that won't come through until Yule. Be patient, allow that to be the case. Note that you might feel a bit uncomfortable, because this is literally like, if you think about the seed sort of inside, and the idea is in there, it's inside the Ingus rune, there it is. And then it's got to push through and crack, open the seed, and you've got to wait for the right conditions to come, and that can feel difficult as well. But what opportunities are available to you for renewal, for bringing change, for something a little bit different, something that's going to make you feel alive, for Yule time, that you can start to feel into now. And I feel as if that's almost a rebirthing process that's coming then for 2023 for you. That the slight uncomfortableness at this moment is a part of you that's waiting to come back to the surface and be reborn there. Let me see. Gosh, we've got lots of people here today, it's great. I'm just aware of the time. Sally Ann, I asked which room was willing and excited to come and work with me this week, and you had Tewaz. So we've done Tewaz upside down, but now we're doing it the right way up. It is the spear, rating to 5, fly free. It's basically Tyr just saying, storm, what storm? Is what he's doing. He's there, he's got his spear, he can see the lightning and the dark, thunderous sky, and he's going to throw that spear into the storm. See what happens. There is experiment, there is play, there is intention, there is commitment there to the path that you already know. There's our Tewaz rune there. Follow that path, do not be put off by the storm, is what the Tewaz rune is bringing. And then Felicity, you've got Algiz, and I can already see its protective wings folding out, almost like you're sitting underneath a tree. And it's got these little angel wings folding out, and you're just sheltering underneath it. You know those posters that you get of like a young girl sitting under a tree reading her book? And it's like that. It's a sort of slightly fairy, but nice fairy energy to it, which we can get with the Algiz rune. It's a really strong protective energy. And I would think, and I do think that it is interacting with the child self, not the young child, the sort of 11, 12-year-old girl self. It's reminding you, it's almost saying, we have had a relationship before. We've had a relationship before. Come back. No, is what it's saying. Remember some form of magic, some form of peace, some form of like that girl sheltering under the tree, whether, I don't know, like writing a diary or creative projects or things that were felt precious, and a place where you felt safe, and saying, the Hagalaz rune is saying, that was me, and I want to be with you again. I want to come and connect with you again. So allow yourself to feel the Hagalaz rune like above you, and to seek out places where you can invite the Hagalaz rune more fully to come in there and be with you and have a bit of a play with you. It's almost like I can't hear the storm at all when I'm here in this little Hagalaz space with you, Felicity. So it's really strong coming through. Maggie says, how funny, I've just moved back to my mum's in Portsmouth. Ah, indeed. The runes, they know. Bhavna, you've got the Ingu's rune. Then you drew Kinas and Thurisaz. Now I rule it, I only do one. So we're going to do the Ingu's rune, which was first for you. So we've done the Ingu's rune twice. Just having a little feel as to whether there's anything in there for you. It's Bhavna, some of you will know. I've spoken about the work that I did with Bhavna many years ago now, when we worked with the chakras and the runes. And as we're speaking Bhavna, what I'm really feeling is this little Ingu's seed in the chakras, and it's almost like crystalline seeds of something new, or like more than one thing new, waiting. Again, there's a 2023 component here, and they're sitting within your energy centers, saying, we want to be planted. So I feel as if this is again some energy work that's being called, coming through, and it's saying, visualizing those seeds like just, I'm almost seeing them a little bit like pomegranate seeds in some ways, like that light, iridescent light that's playing through them in their different colors. Noticing which energy centers they come from, which chakras they come from, and then consciously planting them. And I'm not getting a sense of where that needs to be planted, and whether it's like within, it might be that some different ones require different things. So one could be going into a crystal on your altar, one might be in the garden, one might be offered to the land. But there are gifts there that have been nesting, waiting within, that are saying, and we want to be born. So have a listen to the other Ingu's readings that I've done as well, but have a think about that one too. Elaine, you have Bacano today. So I think have we done Bacano twice now? Just trying to think about it. Bear with me. The scroller has moved itself. Sorry, I don't want to do the wrong ones if I've already done them, and I don't want to miss anyone. Yes, I think so. I think, Elaine, that is you with Bacano there. So we've done Bacano with that protective energy of the Bacano rune, and we've done it with the new life and the new growth. I'm seeing a rainbow here. It's like new beginnings, new journeys that will manifest later in 2023. I know it sounds really silly. I don't want to sound really silly, but it's plan a holiday, Elaine, is what it's saying. It's literally like almost like having a place that you want to go to, that you're looking forward to, will form a bridge, like literally like the Rainbow Bridge by Frost that connects the human realm and the realm of the gods together. When you have these moments where you go, yes, I'm going here, or I'm doing this, or something I'm really looking forward to, they bridge us into the future, and they create stronger connections to where we want to go. So it's almost like saying, these are the things that I would like to bring through in 2023. How could I tie those to something that I then book, like a trip that I then book, so that it creates a channel for everything else that I want at the same time? Because Bacano rune is like the new beginnings, and the energy coming through, it's saying, this way, this is the direction that I want to go in. So, I often do this for like a little weekend away with my children. We go away to a lodge in the woodlands, and I do try and book something, so I've got something like 4 or 5 months ahead, so that I know that we've got something coming up. But I also put in the intentions for the times that I want to spend with them and what I want them to be like in the build up to that. So it's working with that is what I'm feeling for you, Elaine. Erica says, can't wait for our sacred conversation on, yes, indeed, when you come for the in conversation with. Honouring your relationships, truly evaluating what served me, so to invite in through for more support. Yes, indeed. Elwa's blessings to you too. Chen says, thank you. I felt bad I'm taking so long to manifest my current projects, but I feel better about it. Good. So you should. And you also said I got manas and ingus this time, so it's interesting you brought up the differences between them. Interesting. They both wanted to speak to you. Sylvie, you have got Athala. So we've done Athala a couple of times. Again, let me feel into, is there anything else coming up for the Athala rune? Athala. I'm going to take you back right to the beginning where we were talking about sovereignty. And I feel as if wherever your hearth is, wherever your space is, it is inviting you to stand in greater sovereignty within it, to take more ownership for it. We've talked quite a lot about sort of spiritual eldership. And I think, Sylvia, that's what it's inviting you even more strongly into, is to say, I rely on you, like that stewardship that we were talking about. Recognizing, I think that there's a sense in which you've already done that, but going deeper into this. What does it mean to leave a legacy in this place? Whether it's I pass on to people what I've been doing in this space, or whether it's I have tended this space so well that it is fundamentally changed forever by the way in which I have operated within it, is what I'm going to leave you with. Have a listen of what the other readings that I did around Athala, but it is that sense of sovereignty within your space, and particularly spiritual sovereignty that's coming through. Cheryl says, thank you so much, perfect insight into helpful practice. Good. And Diane, that's really helped confirm what I needed to know right now. Wonderful. And yeah, thank you to Suzanne very much for bringing all of those. And Suzanne says, I love that it's just the weather. Oh, Michelle, are you too late? And Nuno as well. Oh, look, you're all sneaking in at the end here. This will be the longest Middle-earth readings I've ever done. Who knew that Tuesday would bring this? I will, yes, let's see if we've got any new runes to do. I may well have to refer you to previous readings if we've already covered the rune. So, Michelle, you have Wunyo, which we have not covered. Perhaps Odin just wanted to bring this in. The perfect rune for ecstatic practice. It is belonging, friendship, fulfillment, ecstasy in all of its different forms. It is a rune of Odin. So I would strongly suggest that you have a listen to the live that I'm going to do tomorrow about ecstatic wisdom, and that if you are not already a member of the Inner Circle, this month might be the month to come and join us. Barbara says the chakras are calling you back to work with them. Wonderful. So pleased. Nuno, you have Athala. Okay, I've done Athala 3 times. I'm not going to do that as well, just because we are very over where we would normally be. Go back and have a listen to the Athala readings that I've done for people. And Felicity says, looking forward to finding my shelter from the storm. Karen says, thank you, Spotting, regarding Ingus. Is that everybody? Michelle, you had Wunyo. Nuno, I know that we've done Athala a few times, so please do listen to that. I think that is everybody. Thank you so much to those of you who have stayed for the duration of Middle-earth readings. It was a long one today, which is wonderful to see so many of you. Wishing you much joy and inspiration from the runes through this coming week. And yes, I look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow when we talk about Odin and ecstatic wisdom. See you then.